Have a great day to everyone. Today we will see about UML diagram and its types. So normally UML stands for Unified Modeling Language. So it is a general purpose modeling language. It aims to define a standard way of a system that has been designed. So it's not a programming language normally that improve the quality and clarity of the software design. Standardized visual modeling language, and it's used in the field of software engineering to provide a general purpose development and the intuitive way to visualize the design of a system. UML helps the software engineers, businessmen and the system architects with modeling, design and analysis. It will be more helpful. For a complex application, we need a collaboration and planning from multiple teams. Businessmen, they don't understand the code. So it is easy for us to communicate with the businessmen with the help of this UML diagrams. It's mainly based on that object-oriented concept. Object-oriented means that contains both the data and control over the data. Then while representing with the data, it can explain the state of the object. Data that will be representing here can explain the relationship between objects and other objects present in it. So every object belongs to a particular class, and an object having fields or any variables. Class has been describing those fields. Objects have many methods involved in it. So the class can describe those methods. A class may be a template. For example, here we are considering an object of a rabbit. If you are going to draw a rabbit, means how can we represent that object? How hungry it is, so how frightening it is, and where it is. Methods, its eating habit, hiding, run and digging. These are the methods that can help to describing the object. So classes are arranged in a tree-like structure. We call it as a hierarchy. So class at the root that can be named as an object. So every class except the object, it is also having a superclass. Class also have a several ancestor. When you defining a class, you should specify it with a superclass. The main type of this UML diagram is structure representation and behavior representation. They can show different objects in a system, but here based on the behavioral diagrams, we can explain what should happen in a system. Of UML diagrams, we are going to see this one by one. Classification of this UML diagram under this structure diagram, the composite structure, deployment, package, profile, class, object diagrams, component diagrams are classified. So under the behavior diagrams, the state machine, communication diagram, use case, activity, sequence, timing, interaction overview diagram. So class is having a name, attribute and its operations. Normally for a class, so for a banking system, the account name that represents the name. So the customer name, the balance represents the attributes. The operations are the, you can add the funds, withdraw his amount and transfer the amount to another person. So these are the various notations we can use while drawing the UML. So this is for initial state, final state, control flow, action, decision. This is for node representing component. This is fragment. This is for use case diagram. This is actors diagram. For representing class diagram, this symbol is used. This is for intercase. This is for use case. This is for state diagrams. These are the components, node activity, decision, and this is node package, pattern, synchronization. And these are the lines: association, refinement, transition, dependency line. The class diagram, it is a building block of all object oriented software system. It is used to depict the basic structure of a system. Class always having three parts: name at the top, attributes in the middle, and operations representing at the bottom. Between the customer, order, the product and the stock. So when a customer is ordering a product, means how can we represent them with the class diagram? Attributes, these are the operations. So add, edit, delete, customer. So in component diagram, it helps to represent how the physical components in a system have been organized. The component diagrams always that depicts the structural relationship between software elements and helps us in understanding its functional requirements. So here how the inventory management system is performed using this component diagram, understand how the physical component system have been organized. The deployment diagram. So when we are used to represent the system hardware and its software, it tells us what the hardware components exact and what the software component act on them. So this is how the hotel management system is explained using this deployment diagram. So here is the workstation and then the operating system that we used, and this is that application server that contains the guest, employee, room services, inventory, restaurants, and if there is any spa is there or not, then the transport and entertainment. Finally, it's accounts. It can be connected with the database server. And next one is the object diagram. Is similar to that of a class diagram, except it shows the instance of classes in the systems. Picked actual classifiers and the relationship, making the use of the class diagram. So on the other hand, this object diagram represent specific instance of classes and relationship between them at a particular time. Object diagram looks like, so for a company, it's having a department, various departments. The persons, we are having the contact information detail of those persons. Next diagram is a package diagram. It helps to organize the UML into a meaningful groups and make the diagram easy to understand. They are primarily used to organize class and use case diagrams. And the next one is a profile diagram having a special type of specification in it. And next type is a composite structure diagram. So it helps to represent the internal structure of a class and its interaction points with the other parts of the system. Normally a composite structure of a diagram that represents the relationship between parts and their configuration. They are similar to that of class diagram. They represent individual parts in detail as compared to the entire class. We are going to see about the behavioral UML diagrams. The first type is that use case diagram. So in this use case, it depicts the functionality of a system or part of a system. A use case is basically a diagram representing different scenarios where the systems can be used. You can see it with the example. Actor is performing the function. He wants to buy an item. He has to choose the item and then pay for the item, and then he has to take the item. So if you want to recharge the item, means you have to check the item. Then the next type is activity diagram. It illustrates the flow of control in a system normally. So here we model the sequential and the concurrent activity using this activity diagram. An activity diagram always focus on condition of flow and sequence in which it happens. For example, here your user login system for a particular app is going on. So when a user is registered, he enters the login name and password. If it is false, means again it returns back to the original page and asks that person to enter the detail again, or else he logged in successfully. The next type is that a state machine diagram. It helps to represent the condition of a system or part of the system at finite instance of time. They are very easy to describe the behavior of the objects. Here you can see that. So a new game. So if it is a win state, means the game end. When he loses, again condition is given, then after wins he goes to the end of the game. So next type is a sequence diagram. So in the sequence diagram, it depicts interaction between objects in a sequential order, the order in which this interaction taking place. So it's important to show how the interactions for a particular scenario. This is an example between a class A and class B. Here we can use the terms event diagrams or event scenarios to refer a sequence diagram. So it describes how and in what order the objects in a system functions. Communication diagram. The other name is collaboration diagram. Here it is used to show the sequence messages that exchanged between the objects, and also it focuses primarily on objects and their relationships between them. An example of how we representing the collaboration diagram. So creating the contact and then viewing the list, then saving the contact and making the persistence. So then inserting the contact. Next one is that interaction overview diagram. So it models a sequence of actions and helps us simplify complex interaction into simpler occurrences. So this is an example for that. This is a timing diagram. So in this timing diagram, it depicts the behavior of the objects over a time frame. It shows time and duration constraints. So an example of the timing, sending email, then checking the details. So if it is okay, means it's deploying. So it's waiting for the account to be created. It's represented in a time cycle. So thank you for watching the video. Meet you in the next video. Till then, it's goodbye from Vijay.